Gude, so let's continue. SHG Blackpoint FS 1003 from 1978, as I already said. So this is some kind of like a 4th generation Pong console. So instead of the games were not built in anymore, but you could buy some additional cartridges and then the console would play the games which are on these cartridges. So there are no microcontrollers or microprocessor inside, but so the cartridge contains like a different Pong chip every time, and the console is just like a case or something like that, and the joystick and the connection to the TV or something like that. So let's tidy up a little bit. We have a look at the console and then make a short demonstration, and then we are finally out of this Pong generation stuff, and then we can start with the microcontroller, microprocessing consoles in this case. So this is what the console looks like. So there's like a cassette port. There are 10 buttons for selecting one of the different games which are on the cartridges or on the chips on the cartridges. On-off switch, some 3 switches for the difficulty setting. So in the manual or on the cartridge itself, you can find some information how you would need to set it up to have the right difficulty for your game or something like that, and like a reset or a start button. So in this case, actually literally it means like new game. Then we have 2 controls in this case. You can also see again it's like up and down and left and right in this case, so it's not limited to one of the directions, and the button for shooting, or which can have different functions based on different games, or even no function or something like that. How it is implemented for each of the cartridges or something like that. Then we have a power supply. Actually there are 2 versions of this console. The other one looks a bit different. So this is the SHG Blackpoint FS 1003. And then there is also the SHG Blackpoint FS 2000, which is just basically battery, or you can basically just use batteries for this case, or for this console. But this one here, this version, as I said, is only capable of running with a power supply. And then we have like a switch again, where you can like the RF signal from your antenna or something like that, and the TV game can be both connected to the TV, and you can switch between those two signals without detaching and attaching the cables every time you want to play something. So let's have a look at the rear of the console. So on the back side you can see that it always gets, or now it gets more interesting because the consoles have some ports and some different switches or something like that. So first of all we have the connectors for the player 1 and player 2 in this case. Then we have a switch which can have 3 different positions, which is for the color settings or the color profile. So you can set up different profiles for your TV. I can also demonstrate that when we do the short demo of the console. Then we have like a connector for the power supply. It has a similar connector than the one from the Atari, which has like a different voltage. So this one here has 15 voltage, and the Atari VCS has 9 volts, but it's the same connector basically, like your headphone connector or something like that. The TV cable in this case is still hardwired to the console, so you cannot exchange that easily. And here's like a knob or a screw or something like that. So when you would turn this on or unscrew that, there would be like a fuse inside. So if you would put more than 15 volts into the console, the fuse would burn, and then you could replace the fuse with a different one. But other than that, basically that's it from the backside or from the rear of the console. Then let's have a look how the additional games you could buy look like. So this console definitely doesn't have any game inside, so you definitely need one cartridge actually to use or to play a game in this case. And this should be all the games which were released for this type of the console. One is the like a car race, then something which is most commonly called like Wipeout or bowling in this case, then 10 Pong variations, then Sea War, then like your motocross race or something like that, and then Tank War in this case. And Tank War is actually special because they also included some additional joysticks for this, because the other ones doesn't seem to work, or maybe they didn't thought they would also release this game, because this actually needs like digital controls in this case and not analog controls. So that's all the console or all the games which were released. So let's have a look at one or two of the games in more detail. And this is how the game were packaged. So you had the actual game cartridge, which also described which game on the cartridge. So which button you have to press for which game, and then there's also like a small manual which shows you how the game is played and what you will see on the screen, as well as the difficulty settings and something like that. So let's also have a look at the Tank War game. And this is now Tank War, so you can see that, as I already said, so there were like additional controllers, which have like digital buttons in this case, so they are not analog. And also like you can see on the back of the cassette, there's like like two additional connectors for those joysticks. So that's why I think they maybe didn't intend to release this game or something like that. But then they decided, okay, let's release that game, and then they also had to decide, okay, we need extra controllers for this case, or for this game. Then in this case, so yeah, that's how the Tank War game is or was released. Then I don't have the packaging for this game, but we can at least have a demo then of this game since I own it. And now let's have a short look at also one of the competitors. So similar to those Pong consoles, there were also like a handful of different vendors which basically released the same console and the same games all over. And but as I said, they were all the same. So we will have just a short look at it. So this is now the Palladium Tele-Cassetten-Game, and basically that's also the same system or the same logic of the system. So the console itself is actually just like the case which connects like the joysticks, the TV cable, the power supply, and the switches together. But you always need like a dedicated cassette to play one of the games. You can also see the 10 buttons are also copied here, and like one on-off switch, and 3 of these difficulty switch, as well as like one start or reset button. So it's basically the same system. So outside of Germany, you also find this this system most of the time when you search for PC50 or something like that, or PC50X or something like that, because I think one of the bigger distributors actually named this system like this. But as I said, so there were different vendors again which made the same system. Most of the time the cassettes are not like interchangeable, but at least it's the same system in this case. So let's also compare some of the games. So this is now the comparison between the Palladium system on the left side and the Blackpoint system on the right side. So you can already see that the cassettes are different. So also from the form factor, so you cannot use one of the cartridges for the other system in this case. Although you probably can create like an adapter or something like that. We can try to do that in 100 videos or something like that. And you can also see that in the manual, the figures in this case are nearly identical. So as I said, it's the same system, just with a different cartridge format in this case. But it's basically the same, just a bit different looking in this case, from different vendors. Yeah. So the only difference sometimes is that one of the other games is released for one system but not for the other system, and vice versa in this case. So for Palladium, they also released the shooting games. So they had also like two additional accessories, the guns in this case, like a cartridge and like this box in this case. And as I said, so this was just released for Palladium and not for the Blackpoint console, in my opinion. But therefore, I think the Palladium system doesn't have the C-War or something like that. So this is, in most of the time, the only difference you find. Like one game was released for one system, but not for the other system. But other than that, it's basically always the same.
So let me shortly demonstrate the Pong cassette. So first we have something which is like shooting, but this time you just shoot with the icon, so with the controller, not with an extra accessory or something like that. Then we have Pong, hockey, Pelota 2-player version, Pelota 1-player version, shooting single-player version, grid ball. This is basically like what we saw last week with the reverse Pong. Then we have football. And this is like basketball, the 2-player version. And there's also a single-player version. So it's basically everything which this card contains. And we can also see here that, so in this, with this console or with this chips, you can also change the size of the bets individually. So you can give one player like a disadvantage or something like that, and you can also make the ball faster or something like that based on the game you have selected. So this is what the difficulty settings do on this cartridge basically. So let's have a look at the other ones. So, and this is now the drag race. So what we have to do is we have to go over the ramp. So we shouldn't be too fast to do that. Yeah, like that basically. Yeah, I'm a pro. Sorry, what can I do? Then we have like an obstacle course where you always have to like lift your the forewheel, otherwise it would make a crash. Yeah, like this. Then we have, I would call it like a training, where you can just check how to adjust the speed. So the speed is just done with the left and right basically, and if you are too fast you also crash. And 8 is basically like a version of the first one, or the first two. So an obstacle course and together with a ramp. Yeah. Okay, this was too fast. Okay, I hit the obstacle. Okay, but I was not fast enough. But that's basically like the motor race or drag race or something like that. So let's have a look at the next one. So, and this is now the Grand Prix or the car race. I mean, you already saw the Intertone Video 2800 in the last video, so it's basically similar, just that it is in color. And so on the back, I already showed you the like the switch for the color profiles. So you can also see that we can change that here. So we don't have to use one of or have to stick to the one color profile or something like that. So I will set up this or this color profile, and then let's have a look at the next cartridge. So, and this is now Wipeout. So it's basically already like an early version of Breakout or something like that. So this is like a single player game or a training or something like that. Then we have something which is called Knockout, which basically you have to destroy this wall. So with each hit you take one brick out of the wall. Then number 5 is basically the same as the first one, just you have two beds, but it's controlled with one controller. So if you wouldn't like catch it on the back side or on the rear side here, you would get a new ball. So you always have to catch also the ball on the right side with your one controller. Then we have number 6, which is like a 2-player game. It's basically like the same, like breakout version or something like that, with a barrier in the middle or something like that. And then we have number 9, which is 2-player version of this knockout, so where you have to remove a brick from the wall. And number 10 is basically the same as the first one, so the ball cannot go out of the field, and the 2-player basically have to return the ball. And you can also see that the ball always have the color of the bat which returned the ball, and also this indicates who gets the points in this case. So that's everything for this game. So let's have a look at the last 2 games. So, and this is now the Sea War or Naval Battle, I would call that. So the first game is basically just like one U-boat and one like normal ship. The normal ship is dropping some bombs, and the U-boat is dropping some torpedoes in this case. So so the U-boat now hit the white boat. So this is a 2-player game. Then we have like a night version of this. So you can only see your own and the opponent when one of the so if you drop the bomb or release the torpedo or something like that. But other than that, it's basically the same game. Then we have like a space war version of this. So instead of a bomb, you have like lasers in this case. But this is also like a night version, so you can only see each other when the laser is released. But other than that, it's not different. So also a 2-player game. Then we have the underwater battle. So the white ship is now automatic steered by the console itself, and you have to avoid the bombs basically in this case, but can also shoot the white ship to hit the target or hit the other boat basically. But this is a 1-player game. 8 is basically the reversed version, so you are the white ship and must like hit the U-boat in this case. So this is also a 1-player game because the U-boat in this case is controlled by the console itself. And the last game is then basically like a rendition of the first game, just with a space theme and the lasers. But so you can see each other in this game now, and one has to target or like hit the other basically. But that's everything I can show about this cassette. So let's have a look at the last game, which is the tank war with the additional joysticks. So this is now the Panzer War with the extra controllers. It's nothing like we will not see on consoles which came a few years after that. So you can see we have 2 tanks and have to like steer them and like control them. And what I can do then is I can run into a wall, of course. Yeah, that's also good. But so the goal is, of course, to get to the other tank, the black tank in this case, and then, or in my case, the black tank, and then burp, burp, burp. Yeah, hit the other target basically. So it's like a first killer game or something like that. But other than that, that's everything I think I can show about this game, and also about all of the games from the console. Actually, I'm not sure why this is in black and white, so normally I think this should also be in color. Maybe something is broken or something like that. I have to figure that out. But yeah, so let me show you 2-3 more things, and then we are basically finished with this console as well.
And I also wanted to show the inside of one of the cartridges. So this is now one of the Palladium cartridges because they are easier to open. I just wanted to say that basically it's not only the chip, but the chip is actually the main attraction of this inside of the cassette. So you also have some resistors or some capacitors. I mean, you know what they do. So I mean, they are just like limiting the electricity and everything inside the circuitry. So I just wanted to show you that it's not only the chip, just a little bit more than the chip, so that you already saw that. And I already mentioned that we will have another look at the data sheets. So Blackpoint didn't just invent, or Palladium also didn't invent this concept, but this is actually a reference design which you can also find in the data sheets as Jiminy Economy 8600 Programmable Game Set. So you can find some information, and they also included like a block diagram where you can also see that they also have here one block for the cartridge, and for this you can see that all the games we had a look at are actually mentioned there. So that's what they basically implemented, this reference design. And in those data sheets you can also find some information regarding all of the games which were released as a game cassette. So for example here for the Sea War or Submarine cartridge, as well as for the Moto Race or Cycle cartridge then. And that's everything which I can show you about the Blackpoint. So next time we will have a look at the Mustang 9016. And what is all about that, I will explain you in the next video. But this will be then the first with a microprocessor. So like a modern console, I would call it. At least it's not like a Pong version again or something like that. So see you in the next video.